Oh no. What? How y'all doing? Don't actually know where the camera's at. I've done it again. Why you done it again? So yesterday I made a bit of an apology video, which a bunch of people said like, hey yo, what was the point, right? And what was it? Long story short, because it was a long video, and trust me, there was a short edit of that video, but let that be an example of why you shouldn't try and investigate problems of any kind when you're running on minimal sleep. The brain just doesn't function right, okay? So I have been recommending Lenovo Legion 5 laptops to people to get into gaming and PC VR. Back during the chip shortage, it was a brilliantly cheap little laptop that you could buy for less than the graphics card in my PC. So a full laptop, pretty decent spec, for less than the graphics card in my PC. Graphics card in my PC is like, what, about grand 200, something like that, okay? I got my SKU for about 900 quid, something like that. I can't actually remember off the top of my Swede, but it's pretty cheap. And I tried to stream some VR with it a couple of days ago and it went to tits. Completely fell apart. And I was devastated because I felt like I had misled people. I have this terrible like imposter syndrome. If I don't think I'm good enough to do a job, I don't do it. I'll recommend someone else that I think will do a better job than me. Now, I had given people advice and then thought that my advice had fallen flat on its face. So I was like, shit. This ain't just a little goof. This is like an £800, £900 investment or so for people. Some people might have paid more. Crap. Like, oh my God, I've got to find a way to fix this. I panicked. I genuinely panicked. Because I didn't want to have given bad advice to people. I was sure that the Legion 5 would work. And here's the trick. I was so certain about the Legion 5s. We bought them for the kids too. And well, I mentioned yesterday about how I'd gone through a bunch of stuff to get it to work and I was still having the occasional glitches. Well, guess what? The glitches were my fault. The initial stream did tank. Yes. The first stream a couple of days ago tanked. At 1080-60, the laptop couldn't do it. It couldn't play VR and stream the game. And then for some reason, after that point, I couldn't even get games to run very well. Whether or not something was still utilising the GPU or whatever, I don't know. It's irrelevant. So I go off and I fiddle around with everything and I set a GPU overclock. On the laptop, you press F2 to get into the BIOS and there is literally an overclock button. And you hit it and it just says, do you want to overclock? And it gives a base 100 megahertz overclock on the GPU. And you save it and you're done. There's an advanced option where you can fiddle with it and stuff, but just no. Okay? So I was just like, do the base. And realistically, things should have worked. Things seemed, at times, like they were working better. Then they didn't. Every time I was proper cracking the GPU, if I'd open up the Steam menu in Steam VR, VR would hang. The rendering through the Quest headset, because the Quest has to use a video encoder to push the image from the machine to your headset, because it's not actually a wired headset. It uses a server on the machine and a client on the headset to display the thing. It would glitch. It would just hard freeze and then never come back. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Wow, it doesn't do it all the time and you could turn down render resolutions and it would work. And I just thought about it. I was thinking about it and I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't get it. Like this is so weird. It's so buggy. Like it's so hit and miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work at all. I think I've got it sorted. Sometimes it works at full resolution, full settings, maxed out. Oh my God, what the hell? Surely things haven't changed this much between a 10 series and a 30 series card, because the 30 series cards go into a more aggressive low power state. So some software will like kind of automatically pump up to cause the GPU to ramp into a higher power state. I could be talking completely out of my ass there, because apparently when I don't sleep, I talk out of my ass, right? But I was getting rainbow artifacting sometimes in Link, and I wasn't sure if that was just noticing anti-aliasing shimmer, because I've got a bad eye. I've got a bad eye and a bad eye, so I'm blind in that one, and I can just about see in this one. And sometimes you get like a bit of colour shimmer and stuff. And I swear I was getting this when I was playing Legendary Tales with Divine as well. It just seems so weird. And then I thought to myself, I was like, have you still got the GPU overclock turned on? Because that seems, that's an overclock issue. Like artifacting, probably, because if I had the same issue in Legendary Tales, it wouldn't have been, so I only overclocked yesterday. But artifacting is an overclocking issue. If it's only freezing when I'm proper murdering the GPU, that could be down to the overclock. And this morning I turned off the overclock and jumped into VR without even thinking about it, and I was like, huh, everything's working. In fact, the games are playing fine without adjusting the render resolution, without adjusting Steam VR. When I open up the Steam menu, yeah, we get some from Link, like it's flickering a bit as it's trying to catch up. But when it catches up, you go back into the game, count to 5, and everything goes back to normal again, where it would just hard kill itself before. Oh. So I turned back on the overclock, tried it, and yeah, we were getting freezes again. So I'm one of the unlucky souls where the factory overclock is not a thing. So it has a turbo mode, and then it has a factory-based overclock. DeWald is lucky. My mate DeWald's always like, yeah man, just factory overclock straight out the box, because his works great. Well, in his case, he's won the Silicon Lottery. I haven't. My overclock seems to cause things to crash on my end. Not so much the games, but for Link, it seems to be sensitive to it. Again, I could be completely wrong, but because I showed video yesterday, Boneworks was loaded up on the screen, but the headset had frozen. So it was almost like as we'd hit the overclock and it turboed up, something just gave up the ghost. That overclock doesn't like Link, or Link doesn't like the overclock. I haven't tried it with anything other than VR, but if I turn off the overclock, it was working fine. So much so that I've played through a huge chunk of Boneworks today on this laptop with a Quest 2, which is higher resolution than the Quest 1, and I've been dicking around with the Quest 1, right? So what I said yesterday, technically complete bollocks. I broke it. It was broken, I tried to fix it, and then I broke it more. So, just as a point, we'll just spin over. Avoid my prawn, right? So I said, well, you can play VR if you adjust everything, but you can't stream. And then I started fiddling with it going, well, there's actually settings in VR that you can change that I hadn't thought about. So like you can change, in your games, you can go, high, medium, low. Just change it, and it'll work, right? But I jumped into Boneworks, and I changed some settings, and it worked great. I was like, oh my fucking god, here you go. So now Divine and Annie and all that can get the badass frame rates in their games without having to worry too much, right? Anyone can do it, just adjust the settings. Why didn't I think of this sooner? You don't have to just adjust the render resolutions, you can do it you can adjust settings in game too. And that allowed some things to work, right? But then I was like, no, just hang on, we're on a roll here, just turn it on, just turn everything up and go. And well, the games worked. They didn't need me to turn anything down at all, they just worked. Now, I can't do 720-60. Like this is 720-30. I tried 1080-60, which I managed to get it to go with virtual desktop as I was showing yesterday's video, but I'll avoid the snap turning. And Boneworks does look a little weird when you're trying to play it at like 72 Hz and capture it at 30, but there you go. Boneworks video was captured. In the headset, it was smoother than the video, I'll give you that. So there's that. And do I have... Where's the Zenith footage? Here you go. So I was fiddling around with Zenith footage. This is at 60 FPS. If you set Zenith to 50% grass on medium, you can play at 720/60. So if I bumped it back down to 30, I could probably max it out again and have all of the grass. And Link not have a problem with it. So not only can you play VR on this thing, yes, you can stream it too. I was just being a bit of a nuggy. You know, it's not fantastic. Zenith is especially hard because if you ever have to do anything in VR whereby you change... where is it? If I can show... I don't know if I was actually recording it at the time. Because if you notice, this is smooth. Zenith has a streamer camera. No, I must have enabled the entire recording. Zenith has a stream camera. And what that does is it takes the view that you have, stretches it out a bit, and then stabilizes it. But doing that kind of thing in game uses even more horsepower. You know, that's why I bumped the settings down a bit in Zenith. Boneworks doesn't seem to have anything like that. And VR chat, if you're just walking around in VR chat, you might get a high frame rate. As soon as you bust out the stream camera, not the regular camera, the stream camera, as soon as you bust that out and look at it, your frame rate tanks. Not all the time, depends on the map, depends on the environments and stuff, but like, as soon as you have to start rendering that extra camera angle, because it's rendering 2 displays, plus whatever your computer's seeing, that you're encoding on a stream, things can get a bit ropey, but it can do it. I'm really impressed. I was tired and disappointed when I made that. Trust me, man, that original video was like an hour long. And I cut it down, and then I cut it down again, and I just decided to put the middle video up, because screw it. I was disappointed. Now, not so much. Because if I'm away from Belial, my main PC, I can do a 720/30 or 720/60 stream on the go. In theory, I think. I haven't got my overlays turned on, like my chat overlay or anything, and that can bump up the old processor usage or GPU usage, but I can test that later. I'm really chuffed. I just got really nervous. The idea that I'd given people bad advice. It's one thing I'm absolutely terrified of doing. No, I don't ever want to do it, especially if it was costing people money. I have to admit to my mistakes. And that felt like a huge mistake. Even though some of my friends said, "No, it's fine. It's fine." It's like, no, it isn't. And so I tested it, and it turns out in a derpy, exhausted state, I made even more mistakes. Right now, I'm just hoping that 100 megahertz overclock in the BIOS didn't cook my GPU. Likelihood? Small. But now anytime I see a little rainbow and thing on encoding, I'm going to think I've cooked my GPU. But, like I said, I think I was getting those with Legendary Tales with Divine, but I don't know. I know I didn't get them in Virtual Desktop at all, ever, full stop, ever, so maybe link encoding. Again, just guesswork here, but shouldn't guess, shouldn't assume. Yeah, I'm pretty chuffed. I'm pretty chuffed. But I'm also incredibly tired again. A simple overclock of anything over stock, if you haven't won the Silicon Lottery, can cause something to just hard crash. I should have thought about it sooner, but I was in such a rush to get that video out yesterday, just to record it, and I was in such a state. So, yeah, red. I never wanted to enable that overclock anyway on the Lappy, but cool. So I'm going to head off. I'm going to find out what render resolutions I can get away with, and see what it looks like when we stream with it. So yeah, I do recommend the Lenovo Legion 5 for VR. It just seemed weird because some people I know are like, "Oh yeah, mate, I've got a 2070 with the 90 watt version, or was it the 80 watt version?" Which, that thing's more powerful than the Lenovo Legion 5 with the 3060 115 is more powerful than it. Has high performance. I was like, how the fuck am I not getting how can I not play these games on high? I can. So I hope you're well. I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. What do you think? I think I might actually just go and play some more Boneworks. I'm sorry, guys.